Well, guys, it looks like we're in a tiny bit of Donkey Kong controversy, let's say. Sorry, I won't say that again, but I had to say it at least once. Yeah, so there's been a few things of, you would consider, I guess, drama in regards to Donkey Kong. What I like to call it is a video game politics. One of my friends suggested that. I think I said this already in another video, but like anything where it's like people are getting upset over something which is quite trivial, such as like, yeah, DK's design or whatever. He's like, that's a video game politics. I'm like, that's such a funny way of describing it because it's kind of true. But yeah, DK has got his design changed, but that's not the only thing going on. We also have some stuff to do with the new Donkey Kong Country Returns HD game, which is in its own little trouble in a lot of places, along with a bunch of other stuff to do with DK. So let's get into it. Let's go over all of it. First off, let's talk about Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, because that's got a little bit of again, a little hiccups here and there. I have gotten the game. Thank you, Nintendo UK, for sending it over, and I've played a little bit of it. I loved Donkey Kong Country Returns when it first came out on the Wii. It was probably one of my favorite games. I would consider it probably when I was like 12, 11, 10, whatever, when that game came out. 2010, right? Yeah, so I was 10. I would consider that like my top 5 favorite games of all time. Like, I absolutely adored that game. I played it so much with my friends, and it was a really, really good time. But I've heard from this game, unfortunately, the multiplayer has messed up on some levels, where beforehand there was a delay on if you could jump on enemies if DK jumps on it, then Diddy jumps on it, where you guys could like bounce over the same enemy, and there was certain like challenge levels which allowed for that, so you guys could speedrun together. In this one, I saw this video, this guy was saying that you can't do that anymore, that multiplayer works like any other game, where, you know, if one person jumps and another person jumps, you can't jump with the same enemy at the same time anymore. There's no like little breathing room for that, so some levels are broken, and I'm like, wait a second, that's strange, because that's not the first piece of drama about this game, guys. That's just something I saw recently, and I'm like, wait, that's really unfortunate. Again, it's not end of the world, and also a lot of the time, how often are people going to be playing multiplayer on this? But again, it's like you still should have that option, and it should still work perfectly. I mean, you could still do multiplayer, but if a couple of levels don't feel the same, that might be why, and it's a little bit curious on why that was missing. I think it's because this is my consensus. This game, it's definitely like a port of the 3DS version and not of the Wii version. And of course that's the case because it has the 3DS levels in it and so forth and etc. But this definitely feels similar to Luigi's Mansion 2 as a game, if you get what I mean. Like with Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, that has a similar feeling where both of these games feel like more so like 3DS. Again, that game was a 3DS game, but these again have that vibe. You get what I mean? Maybe it's like the way it's rendered on screen as well. I don't know, there's just like a 3DS vibe you get from playing these ports or these HD versions. But the drama doesn't end there with this game, guys. Apparently, the credits, I haven't got to the end yet because I'm slow. I don't really, as much as I talk about video games, I don't have that much time to play video games, but getting to the credits of this game, apparently it doesn't credit the original developers, which is very, very sad. It credits everyone who ported the game, but it doesn't credit the original devs, and this is a problem which Nintendo have been constantly tripping up on, because they did something similar with Nintendo Music, where they didn't give all the songs credit to the composers. I think at all. I think it just said rights reserved to Nintendo, and that was about it. And it's quite sad because it's like, hey, wait a second. If like we could search through artists and, you know, give people credit, it's very, very important. But maybe the culture's different in Japan in regards to that, in terms of people don't like being credited. But I feel like you should, and you know, like maybe that's something, I don't know, I'm not clued up enough to know like the logistics in another country in terms of how they deal with that. But from a person who's, you know, just from England and lives in the States, I'm like, hang on a second, I'd like to see all these people's names. You know, it's you should always give respect to the people who make games or make movies or whatever you're consuming. You should always pay respect and watch through the credits. The amount of people who I see leave movie theaters during credits, especially in England, it's bloody ridiculous. At least I feel like in America people are a little bit more chill about it. Obviously, post-credits and stuff definitely helps, but like even if there's no post-credits, you should sit and watch for credits, guys. You should see what they are. You're not in a rush, you'll be fine. Pay attention and give your respect to those guys. Anyways, sorry about that, but yeah, they haven't haven't credited the original devs of the levels and all that stuff, and it's very, very sad. And with all of this being said, right, I think it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Obviously, for credits, I think it would be quite a big deal, but none of it would be a big deal if a game wasn't $60, which is like a full retail price for some other games, on Switch, of course. And it's like one of those things where people it does make sense, where it's like, you know what, if it was like $50, right, then it could be like a lot more of like a justification, like, boom, yeah, you should get that. 60 makes it feel more questionable to question these things, where if you're paying 60, you shouldn't expect any issues such as what I just talked about, or anything whatsoever. And it's still a great bloody game. It's still Donkey Kong Country Returns in HD, but when people aren't able to confirm that it is the definitive way to play, and you know, there is debate and drama and I guess video game politics about what's going on, it makes sense to sort of, you know, question that price tag and see like, hang on, maybe it should be just like $10 cheaper or something. That'll be a better option. But again, that's the first bit of drama, right? That's the first bit of controversy. Now let's get on to the second bit. I said it twice, I'm sorry. Let's go on to the second bit of controversy, which is, we talked about this a little bit already, is the new DK design. Is like this new era sort of inspired by the old Donkey Kong design from the 90s, done by, you know, Miyamoto, sort of slightly developed, with a couple new ideas thrown in there, and it's really, really cool. I love this design personally. It really feels like the 2D art from Nintendo, which they've been doing in a bunch of, you know, pieces. I can't remember, apologies, I can't remember the name of the artist who does, I think it's for Katabi art style, or maybe it's different now. I really apologize, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but having the character be more stylized, I absolutely love how he's looking. And here's another thing, he can still look like the original Donkey Kong. He can still look like Donkey Kong who we know and love if he just squints his eyebrows down, right? If he just pulls down his brow and does a little angry face, he'll look like the DK you know and love. So I don't see what all the hullabaloo is about. Also, when you look at Donkey Kong as he is, right, the current default Donkey Kong, the one that has looked the same since like 2005, or even longer than that, he's still kind of like, he looks a bit weird, gotta be honest. I mean, he's fun, I like Donkey Kong, but he does look a tad bit weird. I think this design, if we get it more universal and stuff, which, speaking of which, Universal Studios having their little theme park about Super Nintendo World, Donkey Kong is getting an update with all the packaging and stuff, which is kind of crazy, right? We're seeing their new design come through in like a little banana thing, and like people are just seeing that this is going to be the next sort of design for DK, especially putting it in like the Mario Kart game. You know what I mean? Like if it's in the new Mario Kart, it's going to be the main design for this generation going forward. And so why, if they're going with a new design, did they just release Donkey Kong Country Returns HD with his old design? And why did they just release a theme park with a bunch of CGI and a big mascot of his old design? What's going on? So here's the thing, right? Maybe the Switch 2 was supposed to launch last year in 2024 holiday season, along with all these things, and then DK would have a brand new release with his new look and all that stuff. But they pushed it along, and the delay of the Switch 2, and then they're like, hang on, we're gonna have to release this, and it all went a bit hullabaloo, and they had to go with the old design. That is one option, right? Another one is that they're just trying to get the use out of all their old Donkey Kong stuff and get it moving, get you to buy all the new merch, or the old merch, sorry, which they've had lying around for ages, or maybe they haven't had lying around for ages, maybe just commission a bunch of new merch. But, you know, get rid of give a final hurrah to the current Donkey Kong design, and then move on with a new generation of the Kong, right? That is what I think they're probably doing, right? Give him a final hurrah with this design, and then evolve him and confirm that, and have it be a big, you know, celebration, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to think about, and I think it's also interesting that people are giving such a big focus on him. I think it's because he had a game release recently, and yeah, I think like people comparing him to the movie design, I don't think that's exactly true. I think the movie design, again, was approved and given by Nintendo when Nintendo were redesigning Donkey Kong. I think they've had this redesign for at least 3 or 4 years, and only now they're deciding to move forward with it and sort of like slowly phase out the current design. Because they're not going to jump into that. Why bother like rushing into doing something new with these characters and cementing them and doing drastic changes to them. It makes sense to go slow, sort of go easy, but I do think that this will be the end of a current DK design. I don't think we're gonna get like 2 versions of Donkey Kong. Some people are suggesting that we'll get like main Donkey Kong games be the rare design, and then all the times he's in Mario games, he'll get that new design where we're going with. I don't think that's true. I think they look too similar to do that. I think we're just gonna go forward with this new design, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be groovy. We're gonna have bananas everywhere. I just love Diddy Kong's design, so I'm glad they're not changing that. I saw Diddy Kong without his hat recently. That was a bit scary. But yeah, guys, that's my thoughts on the big Kong, the big donk, and everything going on with him. And yeah, I don't know, there's a few things I didn't touch on when I first was shocked by their designs day one, but now that we've had, you know, a week to think about it, and we've got, you know, some stuff to talk about in regards to the new DKC Returns game, I thought I would do a little roundup news of everything to do with the Kong. But I'm excited. I hope that this year will be a great year for the Donkey Kong and the Donkey Kong. Okay, bye.
Peace.